The code for loot boxes has been reintroduced in the Rivals Season 4 build. Alright guys, welcome to the channel. So, what does this mean? Well, it looks like Rivals, in the past, Rivals had this in the client, and then it was removed. Obviously, this is the idea of loot boxes being added to the game. We will go into detail on this in a second, but I want to show you this on the screen first. So this is basically a mock-up of what the loot box could look like. Now, this is taken from Rivals info over on Twitter. I think they've pulled this out of the game client. It sort of looks like it is, but again, don't take my word on it. There is links in the video description below to all of this. And this is what they're calling mysterious treasures of the cosmos. And it's not a loot box, they're calling it. It's a treasure. But as you can see from the UI, it's saying unlock 10 or unlock 1. Now, let's take a look at a little bit of additional info. So this is what Rivals info says over on Twitter. Loot boxes could be coming in Marvel Rivals at some point in the future. In Season 4, logic for the Mysteries player component was reintroduced. Mysteries is the code name for loot boxes. Within the component, there are multiple references to mystery box logic, such as Cosmic Mysteries Number and Box Open History Change, which further confirms that it relates to the old loot box system. The image below shows what it might have looked like when the logic was still in the game, and that, of course, was the image we looked at. Now, it's got to be said here, loot boxes are very polarizing if they're done in a certain way. So we got to talk about Overwatch, because Overwatch is the big loot box game, let's say, in the hero shooter genre. So way back in Overwatch 1, you had loot boxes in the game which you had to buy. Now, if you're old like me, you will remember that being like having to buy the box, so the box price of the game. I think it was only $40 for Overwatch unless you bought a collector's edition of the game. But then they also had microtransactional loot boxes in the game that you could buy that would give you a chance, so it was pure gambling, of unlocking skins in the game. Now, you could earn the loot boxes through just playing the game, but if you wanted loads of loot boxes really fast, you could just directly buy loot boxes and then gamble away. Of course, Overwatch has gone through a ton of changes, and it ended up removing loot boxes. It went free to play. It introduced a battle pass. It introduced a lot of systems which are now in Marvel Rivals. However, loot boxes came back to Overwatch this year, but there's a very crucial difference. You cannot buy the loot boxes. Now, the reason for this, well, it's a legal issue. In certain jurisdictions around the world, you cannot sell loot boxes with random chances of items in. So I think the way Overwatch has got around this is just to give them away for free. If you complete various objectives, you complete various missions, challenges, whatever, leveling up your account, all of that stuff, just simply playing the game, you will get loot boxes, and then you can open the loot boxes and they contain loot. Now, in terms of the loot they contain, Overwatch actually contains a list. Again, this is a legal requirement, which shows you all of the items that could potentially appear in the loot box when you open it, and the rarity chance as well, like how often you're going to get a legendary, and all of that kind of stuff. Now, this hasn't really been updated for a long time in Overwatch, and yeah, it's cool to have a chance to unlock a bunch of old skins, but the newer skins are still in the store. They still want you to pay direct cash for them. They want you to buy the premium currency for them. So the loot boxes in Overwatch, they're nice to have. They don't really impact too much because they're free, but it would be nice if they updated the list of what was available in those loot boxes. Now, this is where Marvel Rivals enters the equation. Will they go down the path of selling loot boxes, or will they give them away for free? I would be very surprised if they sell loot boxes if they add them to the game. In fact, I'd be shocked. I'd imagine they'll copy Overwatch and they'll just straight up go, hey, you know what? We're going to add loot boxes, but it's just going to be a reward you get for completing challenges instead of just picking up the various different currencies. And we're going to start giving away a bunch of the older skins. If they do that, it'll actually be quite a good win, a nice sort of, I guess, victory for the player base, because you'll be able to earn more stuff. Obviously, if they go down the path of selling the loot boxes, then we've got a problem. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments below, but I thought it was interesting, this, and it was definitely worth talking about. So talking of copying Overwatch and taking systems from other games, look at this from GG over on Twitter. They say, possible upcoming game mode. A few strings were added referencing a mode similar to Overwatch's Stadium with assignable points, talents, and loadouts. It'll have a store which can only be opened in the spawn room, likely to equip abilities. Now that sounds exactly like Stadium. And this is the code that GG pulled up. So if you look at this, it's just lines of code that's been pulled out of the game. But you can see the highlighted lines. It makes sense, right? So you've got skill unlocks at level. So that would indicate you get to a certain level of your character, then you unlock a skill. This is very similar to how Stadium works. You've got build type sword build, again indicating different items for different builds, or different build directions for certain characters. You've got preview level of upgrade preview, so you can preview what's going to happen when you level up. Assignable points, hero remain talent points, I should say, which is a text UI element. So yeah, talent points for the hero that you can assign. Again, this all sounds very Stadium. Ultimate build types. You've got hero talents, text UI. You've got text preparedness loadout. You've got title text equipment skill ability equip. And then you've got text UI replace skill tips, replace ability. Now, if this doesn't all sound like Stadium, I don't know what is. Now, Rivals has done this in the past. It's taken inspiration from other games. Like, look at the auto battler mode they added to the game. I mean, that's inspiration which has been taken from, I guess you could probably go way back and say auto chess, but it's teamfight tactics, right? That's what that was trying to clone. I'm not necessarily against this. It would be kind of cool to see this in a Marvel Rivals type of, I guess, take on it. But it would also be better to see innovation, right? And to see new and exciting game modes added, not just copying what the other competition has done quite successfully. Again, this kind of comes down to game modes as well. When you look at the modes in Rivals, you know, you've got payloads, you've got like an escort style mode, you've got King of the Hill modes, you know. So, but I guess you can argue there's only so much you can actually do. But I just thought this was interesting, right? Because looks like Stadium is kind of coming to Marvel Rivals as a limited time mode. We also need to talk about this. This is the Season 4 roadmap. Now, the big standout thing here is we are going to get a new hero in Season 4.5, October the 10th. We know this is going to be Daredevil. Well, can we say we know this is going to be Daredevil? Daredevil is heavily advertised in Season 4 as fighting against Angela. It's the first time we've seen his model in game. Now, I will say, we did see Blade really early before he was added to the game, so there is a chance a different hero could be added. But I think the easy money, if you want to bet, gamble on your loot box, is going to be Daredevil, right? It's going to be added to the game. And I actually think his model looks really good. So it'd be cool to see that. But yeah, what we've got here is from September the 12th. Obviously, the season kicks off. You've got new hero Angela. I think she's a really good hero. Like, she's going to be incredibly powerful. She's a flying Reinhardt, basically. You're going to be able to like literally abduct the enemy tank and just wipe them out. You've got more arcade modes, freely mix and match. So you've got Conquest Doom match, Clone Rumble, giant size Brain Blast. Like, it's like a bunch of limited time modes that will just be playable now, which I think is going to be fun because it is kind of limited at the moment, the way the game does this. Again, this is similar to Overwatch, where it's got tons of different like arcade game modes you can play, although Overwatch does cycle them out, but it does give you a big option like to choose from. It looks like Rivals doing the same thing. There's going to be a new costume for Angela. Yeah, that's fine. A new battle pass again. Season 4 battle pass got a ton of content in. It's got two really fantastic skins, the Magneto skin and the Captain America skin. They are incredible, and they're free. You don't even need to buy the battle pass to get them, which is honestly is really good. They're like classic inspiration skins. They're really cool. And there's going to be a new event, Scroll of the Immortal Beast, which is going to get you the thingy skin, Ultron skin. So that's going to be quite cool to see. Then moving forward, September 19th, we've got Marvel Rivals Swimsuit and Summer Special Volume 2. A bunch of swimsuit skins are going to be added to the game. I'm sure these are always going to be popular. So yeah, get ready for that. Then September the 26th, new map. Now I'm going to try and say this, but I'm going to get this completely wrong. So Kunlun, I think it's Kunlun, Heart of Heaven will be added. There's a new costume as well for Hela, the Grim Lady, and new accessories, Magneto, Lunar Snow, Scarlet Witch, Cloak and Dagger. So again, this is all like, you know, just additional cosmetics, new map. It's pretty cool. October the 3rd, there's going to be a new costume for Emma Frost, the Hellfire Protocol. So there's a decent amount of stuff going on here. Obviously, there's a bunch of balance changes. I've covered these in the video. Things like magic is going to be really cool. I mean, magic gets 2 charges on a movement ability. You can pop the movement ability, pop it again, and then attack enemies with your alternate fire, where you've got the ranged projectile, and it pierces enemies. And the number of enemies it hits, it reduces your cooldown. So in effect, if you hit a bunch of enemies, you can then move again, which is really cool. And of course, when you use a movement ability, you can either do the AoE spinny attack or spawn a demon. So it's like completely ridiculous. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave the video at that. It looks like quite an interesting season for Rivals, this does. I want you to let me know what you think about the loot boxes, though. I think that's going to be the big takeaway here. Do you want to see loot boxes in Rivals? And how do you think they would implement them if they went forward and added them? Right, guys, I've been Stylosa. You can follow me in everything, which is @Stylosa, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. See you soon.